Okay students, today we are going to learn about vectors. As I told you in the last period, we are learning motion in a plane. Motion in a plane is also called as two-dimensional motion, which requires both x-axis and y-axis for the description of motion. So, like I gave you example of motion of a billiard ball on the billiard surface, motion of ship or boat on the water surface, motion of carom coin on the carom board surface. These are the examples of two-dimensional motion. It requires both x-axis and y-axis for the description. So such a motion is called as two-dimensional motion. For studying two-dimensional motion, we need to describe the location of the object time to time, because the object is changing its position when it is in motion. When it is changing its position with respect to time to time it changes its position. Therefore, we need to locate that object with respect to a frame of reference. That frame of reference we take it as coordinate system. The coordinate system having x-axis and y-axis with the origin, we take it as a frame of reference. Now let us first study the position vector and displacement vector. Let us say an object is moving in this particular path. This curved path represents the actual path length of an object which is in motion. At some time interval t equal to 0, suppose the object is at point P. At time t equal to 0, if the object is at point P, then when we measure the distance of that object from the origin, the OP distance gives you its position at time t equal to 0, initial position at time t equal to 0. And this arrowhead gives you the direction of that point at time t equal to 0. So this complete OP gives you position vector of that point P at time t equal to 0. This position vector is denoted by vector R. Vector is denoted by an alphabet with an arrow mark on the top of it. Arrow mark on the top of it indicates that it is a vector quantity. So this vector quantity R is called as position vector. So position vector is the position of a particle at a given interval of time, which is always measured from the origin. Remember, when the position is measured from the origin, it is called as position vector. Now this is the position vector at time t equal to 0. After some time interval, the particle reaches at point P dash. The particle reaches at point P dash. Now if you measure the position of the particle at time t, then this becomes OP dash. OP dash, you see, it's having its tail at O and tip at P dash. Tip means arrowhead. So tail at O. It starts from O, ends at P. So OP dash gives you the direction of position vector at time t. So R dash, let us suppose R dash is the position vector at time t dash. At time, say t. At time t, let us say R dash is the position vector. Then, if we want to find out the displacement, by definition, we know that displacement is the difference between the position or change of position gives us the position vector. So, final position vector OP dash minus initial position vector OP gives us the displacement vector. Look here, the displacement vector from P to P dash is actually TP dash. Displacement vector is TP dash. How is it obtained? It is obtained as change in position vectors. What are those position vectors? Final position vectors, final position vector OP dash, final position vector OP dash minus initial position vector OP. So OP dash minus OP, this gives us the displacement vector PP dash. It is directed from P to P dash. So you can see it is again the shortest shortest distance between P and P dash. The shortest distance P and P dash, the shortest distance between P and P dash gives us the displacement, and it is having a direction. What is the direction? It is directed towards P dash. So this is the position vector and displacement vector. So displacement vector P dash, it is denoted by delta R vector. Delta R vector, which is equal to vector R dash minus vector R. Final position vector minus initial position vector. Final position vector R dash minus initial position vector R gives us the displacement vector P dash, which is directed from P to P dash. So this is the meaning of displacement vector. So displacement vector, you see, it is the shortest distance between 2 points, final position minus initial position, but having a particular direction. Now, let us see the next one. This is a different situation wherein initial position is P, final position is Q. A particle is under motion. The particle may move from P to D then to Q. It may undergo PDQ as curved path, or it may undergo another curved path PABCQ as another curved path. So final position is Q, initial position is P. Again by definition, final position minus initial position gives us displacement. So displacement is the shortest distance between two positions. So this shortest distance PQ, you see, it's larger than the curved path PDQ, which is the actual path length. Or if you take another path PABCQ, it is another path. So PQ is again smaller than the actual path length. If the particle moves directly from P to Q, then displacement becomes equal to the path length. So displacement, magnitude of displacement. Magnitude means what? The actual length. The actual length that we measure, say about 30 centimeters. So the actual length that we measure, that gives you magnitude of the vector. And direction is shown by the arrowhead. The actual length from P to Q, shortest distance that is measured, gives you magnitude. So vector is having both magnitude as well as direction. So magnitude is the actual length. In this case, OP length it gives you magnitude of R. OP dash length if you measure directly using the scale, that gives you the magnitude of vector. And the direction is shown by arrowhead. Direction, how is it shown? Either with respect to x-axis or with respect to y-axis. Say R dash is at an angle of 50 degree with respect to x-axis. That gives you direction of R dash. Say R is at 60 degree with x-axis. That gives you direction of vector R. So a vector is having both magnitude as well as direction. So in this case, what we will be discussing is that the magnitude of displacement vector is always less than the actual path length between the final and initial position. Less than the actual path length. At the most, it will be equal to the path length if it is the shortest distance. So this magnitude of displacement is denoted by this modulus value. In mathematics, you are learning modulus. Modulus means it is always positive value. Magnitude of displacement vector PQ is less than the path length or at the most equal to path length. This is evident from this diagram and evident from this example. So if you actually look at this, how I can write displacement PQ vector. See, PQ I have written and direction is shown by this arrowhead. So this is how we represent any vector. PQ vector. Modulus of PQ vector. Modulus of PQ vector means its magnitude, its length. The modulus of PQ vector is less than the actual path length PABCQ. Actual path length PABCQ. Yes, this is first. Second one, it is also less than the actual another path length PDQ. This is represented here. So this is the meaning of displacement vector. So displacement vector is calculated as difference in position vectors. Final position vector minus initial position vector. So we are going to learn again these things in detail. Once we learn the properties of vectors in detail. So before we learn the meaning of displacement, the meaning of velocity, meaning of acceleration, right? We need to learn about vectors, properties of vectors. So vectors are very essential to learn about the motion in a plane and motion in a space. Motion in a plane is two-dimensional motion. Motion in space is three-dimensional motion. As I have told you earlier, motion in space requires three mutually perpendicular axes: x-axis, x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, origin. So three mutually perpendicular axes, x-axis, y-axis and z-axis are required for motion in space. So if we learn motion in a plane, two-dimensional motion, we can use the same principles for studying the three-dimensional motion. Therefore, in this 11th class, we are studying only two-dimensional motion in detail. Same principles can be applied for three-dimensional motion when we learn vectors in detail. Now let us see properties of vectors. First we will see what is the meaning of equality of vectors. When we do say that two vectors are equal, when do we say that two vectors are equal? Two vectors, let us say OP represented by vector A, QS represented by vector B. When these two vectors are said to be equal, the requirement is that their magnitudes, their length should be equal and they should be in the same direction. Both the vectors must be in the same direction and their magnitudes means their length should be equal. Such vectors are said to be equal vectors. So here the magnitude of A is equal to magnitude of B and vector A and vector B are in the same direction. Therefore they are said to be equal vectors. Now you see the second case. There is a third vector C. Can you see here? There is a third vector C. Its length is also same as that of B or its length is also same as that of A. Length of C is equal to length of A. That is magnitude of A is equal to magnitude of C. But you see the direction of this vector. This is directed in this way and this is directed in this way. Therefore, vector C and vector A are not in the same direction. Therefore, vector A is not equal to vector C. Thus, we can generalize that two vectors are said to be equal vectors if and only if they have same magnitude and they have same direction. Once again, two vectors, vector A and vector B, are said to be equal vectors if and only if both are having same magnitude and both are in the same direction. Such vectors are said to be equal vectors. Now let us see the second property of vectors. Multiplication of a vector by a number. Multiplication of a vector by a real number or multiplication of a vector by a scalar. That's how we are going to study. Let us see the examples here. This is vector P, which is having one particular direction. And you are finding another parallel vector here, which is of length 1.5 times P, having the same direction as that of P. So, if I multiply vector P by 1.5 times P, I get another vector whose magnitude is 1.5 times the magnitude of P, but it is in the same direction as that of P. It means we can multiply a vector by any scalar quantity, any number or any scalar quantity, provided that resulting vector is in the same direction as that of the original vector. Now you see the second case. This is vector q. This vector q is of magnitude 2 times vector p. Let us say this is of magnitude 2 times vector p, and it is also in the same direction as that of vector p. So if you multiply vector p 2 times p, we get another vector q, which is of magnitude 2 times p but having the same direction as that of q. So this is the meaning of multiplying a vector, by a real number. Now suppose if I multiply by negative number, what happens? Then we will get the resulting vector in the exact opposite direction. Suppose I multiply p by -1, then it becomes minus p vector. Minus p vector, if you look at this one and this one, minus p vector, it is having the same length as that of p. Same length as that of p means same magnitude, but its direction is exactly opposite. So if it is exactly opposite direction, they are anti-parallel vectors. They are anti-parallel vectors, but they are not equal vectors, because this is having direction upwards, this is having direction downwards. Therefore, they are not equal vectors. If I multiply this p by -1, then I will get another vector which is of same magnitude but downwards. Similarly, -2 times p, I will get magnitude 2 times p but directed vertically downwards. -2 times p. This is -1.5 times p. -1.5 times p, as we have seen. So we get another vector when we multiply a vector by a real number. So this is very important. For example, we have studied in the previous topic that when a body is moving with constant velocity, when that body is moving with constant velocity, if the time taken is t, then if we multiply t with velocity, constant velocity, we get the displacement. Suppose a car is moving with 60 km/h. Now we know that how much is the displacement of the car in half an hour. Then what we do? 60 km/h multiplied by half hour. 60 km/h multiplied by 30 minutes. We get the displacement to be 30 km. Means when we multiply velocity is a vector quantity. When we multiply velocity, a vector quantity, v velocity vector, multiplied with the time is a scalar quantity like a number. When velocity is multiplied by time, we get displacement. This displacement is a new vector. For example, velocity is measured in meter per second and time is measured in second. Meter per second multiplied with second cancels. You are left with another physical quantity, that is displacement, which is measured in meter. So this is the meaning of multiplication of a vector by a real number. Okay. Then we need to learn about addition of vectors, subtraction of vectors. We have learned multiplication of vector by a number, multiplication of vector by a scalar. In the same way, what happens when the vectors are added? We know what happens when the scalars are added. You see, if it is a rectangular surface, then if we add the measurements of all the sides of the rectangular surface, all the sides, it gives us perimeter. 2 times length plus 2 times breadth gives us the perimeter of the rectangular surface, rectangular area. That gives us perimeter. So these lengths and breadths are the scalar quantities. But in this case, when we are having vectors like velocity, displacement, acceleration, they cannot be added in the same way. There we have to study the rules of vectors. So vector addition and vector subtraction we are going to learn in the next presentation. Vector addition is done by a method called as triangular method. It is called as triangular method of vector addition. And there is another method, it is also called as, it is called as parallelogram method of vector addition. Triangle method of vector addition, parallelogram method of vector addition. After learning this triangle method and parallelogram method, we are going to learn how to find out the magnitude of a vector when two vectors are given. How to learn the magnitude of resultant of vectors when we get two vectors acting in two different directions. That we will learn in the next presentation. Thank you. Have a good day.